examples. So this next one is another snack. And again, we'll put the link to that in the chat box. But if you do go on the Exploratorium website and just, or if you just Google Exploratorium snacks, you'll get the whole page with literally hundreds of these, all divided by subjects, and you can search by grade levels and or grade bands and things like that. So a lot to look at. For this activity, what you want to do, and can we, yeah, thank you for unsharing. If you can see me, I have a coat hanger here that I've tied 2 strings to, one on each side. And for many objects like a spoon or something smaller, you know, 1 string will be fine. And then wrap it around your fingers like this. Put your fingers in your ears. And what I'm going to do, let's see if you can see this, is I'm going to bend over and swing it so it hits my desk. You want to bang your metal object and see see what you can hear from that. The other thing you can do, if it's hard to, if you don't have a solid desk or something, is just take a solid object like a plastic pen and bang your object like that. So go ahead, and for, like, I remember early on, a couple of people actually did have oven grates. For those who can, try to do the biggest object you can. And when we begin to do some writing about this, I think it'll become clear why that's an interesting kind of experience. But any object at all, any metal object should give you a nice noise. And go ahead for the next couple of minutes to tie your string to it and see what kinds of noises you can get from it. And then let's share the slides again. I'm sorry, I'm taking you away from your coat hanger, Kelsey, but here's what I'd like you to do when you, as you play with these objects. What we're gonna do with the sounds that you hear are write a narrative. And the 2 main qualities of narratives in the Common Core are descriptive words and sequences of events. And so for now, just as you listen to the interesting sounds from your objects, write down descriptive words about the qualities of the sound that you hear. And what we'll do is we'll incorporate those words into the eventual narratives that you're going to write. Okay? So have at it. All right, and with that, can people begin to either, you know, as we've done before, either write in the chat box an object that you used and any of the descriptive words that you wrote down that describe the qualities of the sound, or go ahead and unmute and just tell us about that. All right, so let's pull down the screen share and we'll see if we can have any volunteers who are willing to describe their objects and the descriptive words they chose. Silver spoon clang. Kelsey, what object did you use that made a glong or a gloong?
I used a whisk. It was very cool, very glongy.
Christy, do you mind describing a little bit about the object you used? Christy with the small metal bucket.
It's this one, this little yellow bucket.
Cool.
So it was just, and I just hit it on my desk, like.
And did it sound different? Like we heard it like that, but when you had your fingers in your ear.
Yeah, it was much louder, and it depending on how I hit it, close, far, it was like ringy, or it got real clangy, but it was definitely loud. Yeah.
Trisha, can you describe what object you used that made a bong bong church bell sound?
It was just a coat hanger.
Oh, yeah. Simple but elegant. Okay, and Amber used a round cookie tray. Lovely. And the sound from the tray was like church bells. That's come up a couple of times. And my assistant said the hanger, I can feel the vibrations and the sounds like something like that. All right. Wow. Tweezers work, Danielle? So small.
The tweezers work really well. You get a nice high-pitched ping. But then when I use this this little clip here, it was just a very dull bonk. There wasn't much to it.
Okay. All right. Doreen used a coated wire fly swatter, which was a tinny sound. How disappointing. But a dinner bell had a deep, solid wonging sound. I'm wowed by the creativity of the words you're choosing. Some of them are onomatopoetic. I think I'm saying that right. And just a nice way to describe them. Okay, so you can imagine you could gather a whole list of descriptive words and share them and maybe do some shared writing with them. But again, thinking of really young kids, breaking a writing process into steps can be really helpful. So that's why we asked you to write down these descriptive words. But now I want you to go ahead, thank you, Kelsey, and write a narrative using that. And again, the second part of a narrative besides the descriptive words is the sequence of events. And so remember when I asked if you use the largest object you can, it's not always the case, but some larger objects, the sound from it just lasts a lot longer. And so, you know, if you want to describe a sequence of events, it has to go on for some period of time. And even if it goes on for just a couple or a few seconds, see if you can write a narrative by putting some of your descriptive words and describing how the sound actually changed over time. And take a couple of minutes to write a narrative like that, and then either drop it in the chat box, or after a couple of minutes, we'll open it up and have people describe their object and then read their narrative. Wow, quite a few. Just, I'm going to encourage you, if you've already written something, to read some of the ones in the chat box. But let's go ahead and unshare the screen so we can see each other and invite some people to read their narratives. And please describe the object you used if it's not in your narrative.
I'll share. It's Carrie. Hi, everybody. I'm the one with the silver spoon, and I picked this big silver spoon that I haven't cleaned in a long time because it's really heavy. And when I hit it, it really clanged. And I said that it clanged and I should have timed it. And I did. It took 4 seconds for my clanging sound to stop. And I could no longer feel the vibrations in my string. Now, I taught high school for 30 years and I'm the TOSA now. So I am not a first grade person, but that's what I got.
Wonderful.
All right, I have one, Fred. So my story goes, we tied a string to many objects at school today. The metal hanger goes cling, clang, cling, clang. The tweezers go ping, ping, ping. The big bell goes gong, gong. Wait, what did you say? That's my story.
Wonderful. Trisha has, I like the personal touch of that one. If you're willing to share, Trisha.
Sure. I just thought it would be a good way to tie a personification. My friend Bindi, the coat hanger, can make lots of noise. At first, when he just bangs against the table, he sounds clanky. Then I tied strings to him. Next, I wrapped the strings around my fingers and put my fingers in his ears. When Bindi hit the table, then he made a huge bong like a church bell. I had no idea Bindi could be so loud.
Nice.
So I did a whisk. And so I wrote, when I hit the whisk against the table, it made a gong sound. It started out as a deep, low sound. And then I heard a higher pitched sound toward the end. Then I didn't hear anything when the whisk was still.
Nice. And even though, you know, these are just several seconds of sound, there's still a sequence to them. There's a at first and then and finally kind of idea to them. So there's a lot of ways to take even short events and turn them into narratives. All right. And Adrian, if you'd be willing, that's just such a lovely passage.
Oh, thank you. The metal grate song began with a deep grong that resonated through the string and into my fingertips. As the singing moved upward, my inner ears quivered and tickled. Then all was quiet and calm until the next strike.
Just really nice to hear all these, you know, almost like you can hear the sounds through the words. So with that, I'd like to suggest that there's just a lot of, you may have never thought of writing narratives based on a science experience, but there are many kind of experiences, any kind of thing that changes over time that you can write narratives about, not just people and what they do. So with that, I think this would be a good time to pass it over to Rachel and have her talk a little bit about what she's seen in primary classrooms.